And now, the Little Italy podcast with Deborah Zara Kobelt.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today on our Little Italy podcast. I'm your host, Deborah Zara Kobelt, and I am thrilled to welcome Silvia Chiave, Consul General of Italy in Los Angeles. And what an honor it is to have you here with us today, Silvia. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Deborah, for having me, for inviting me to your podcast. It is my pleasure and my honor to be able to, share with the public of Italians, Italian Americans, and all those who love Italy, of your public, of Little Italy in LA podcast, my thoughts and my experience, and whatever you want to ask.
Yeah, well, there's a lot for us to talk about because you've led quite an interesting life, and we're thrilled to have you here in Los Angeles. But before we get into all that, I want to talk a little bit about our upcoming 5K that you have spearheaded down in our Little Italy of Los Angeles district down in San Pedro. Would you tell our audience?
Yes, well, this is a kind of an amazing project, very difficult to organize, our fun run, but it was my dream since when I arrived here, because my colleagues in New York City already organized an Italy run, a fun run in Central Park since 2018, and it was a great success because Italians are runners, Italians are walkers, Italians love to gather around in open air, and that's the part of our conviviality and of our lifestyle that is so much appreciated here in this area as well. So we did a partnership with Little Italy in LA, of course, that is the organizer with us, with the help of the 15th district of the city and of a runner. And we put together all our strength and our efforts to be able to organize not only a run, because this is not really, might be misleading to call it run. It's a fun run with a lot of, who wants to run will run, but there will be people that will walk, strollers, children. It's for all ages, all abilities, and it's unique because it will be accompanied by a great festa di piazza, a street festival. And that's very typical as well of Italian gatherings, like, street festivals with vendors of food, music, animation. We have a lot of games for the little ones in the Little Italy Piazza in San Pedro. And I really hope that many people will come. Also, we had a strong support of many sponsors. Our presenting sponsor is a company, an Italian company we're very proud of, is NLX Way, which is part of the division of NL Group, which is a global leader in renewables and energy, and it's a line entirely dedicated to electric mobility. So they are they're already global leader in smart electric vehicle charging solutions with 250,000 charging ports worldwide. They're huge, and they are providing smart and clean and convenient EV charging solutions for drivers with a lot of investment to scale up EV charging infrastructures and meeting the needs of the market. And of course, we know that in Southern California, there are a lot of electric vehicles, and there's a lot of attention to this green transition. So this company that has a global outlook and reach is very present here and will expand furtherly because they really provide good solutions for customers. And also, of course, to a global scale, we can say they do a lot to complete the energy transition. And for Italians, for the Italian government, the green transition is one of the pillars of our latest policy. So we're very proud of all these partnerships with this. We have a lot of other partners, including Landirenzo, MSC, Marco e Stefania Giandalia, Berio, Olive Oil, all around Italy, all Italians, all Italian lovers. And so it will be also a party of sustainability, of sports, of family, all values that we really much support.
I really look forward to this because we all love a street festival, right? I look forward also to learning more about the sponsors. And also, I think you had mentioned off camera, gosh, there's a raffle, right? To win a trip to Italy. Would you tell us about that?
Yes, well, we also have had a sponsorship by our new Italian airline, ITA Airways, right, that start operations from LA to Italy on the 1st of June. And they actually gave us a ticket, round trip LA, Rome, LA to put in a raffle, plus 50% discount on another ticket. And we also have in a raffle 2 night stays in 2 hotels in Tuscany, luxury hotels that will be available for every registered person to the run that will be there at the raffle drawing. So we will have national anthems, we will sing, we will play music, and then there will be this raffle for everybody that will be enjoying the fest. And these prizes are also promoting, like promoting a trip to our country, so promoting also tourism in that way. So I'd love everybody really to register and come and enjoy with us this great party. You will be there, of course, Deborah, right?
Of course I will. And I'm entering my name in the drawing. In fact, I told quite a few friends about our run. And then when I mentioned about the drawing, they said, oh, I'm there. Because that's a big draw, I have to tell you. This will be a fun day. I mean, you get a lot of Italians together and an entire community of people together, right? It's always for a fun day. So thank you for spearheading this, Sylvia.
And the thing is that we very much value the resource of Italian Americans, not only Italian.
Yeah.
Italian there are a lot of Italian Americans part of Lila, a lot of Italian Americans that live in San Pedro and in Los Angeles. And Italian Americans are a great resource. And I really like to try and put together all these communities. There are a lot of communities of Italian in all Los Angeles. It's like different cities, actually. But I like the idea of putting everybody together also to celebrate our national day that is celebrated the 2nd of June. But this is a big piazza celebration for our national day under the Italian flag. And I'd like really everybody, also a lot of Italian Americans, to be there celebrating with pride their origins, as Little Italy in Los Angeles does.
Yeah, it would be fun if we could write on our shirts where we're from. Like, I know my family is from the Avellino region. Because I love asking Italian Americans, gosh, where did you come from? And it always strikes up a great conversation, doesn't it?
Yes. No, it's
yeah.
It's fun also to have people that sometimes go back to Italy, Italian Americans, and go and visit the village where their grandparents came from. And that's
that was me.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. And that's a thing for tourists, because sometimes these villages, when people go back, they push all other tourists to go in those villages that might be abandoned but beautiful to see and visit. So that's a great well.
Wonderful partnership between Italy and the U.S. Let's talk a little bit about you. I love to go back into someone's life. What were you like as a kid? Where did you study? And how did you even get into this field? There's not a lot of women in it. So let's talk a little bit about all of that, if you could.
Well, as a kid, I grew up in a family. Both my parents were civil servants. They both worked at the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So I kind of grew up moving every 3 to 4 years. And I was born in Italy. I developed a strong attachment to Italy, like immigrants do. But I'm an immigrant because I lived my whole life abroad. Then I went back to Italy for college. But this was a world I knew. And I also knew that besides to find my roots, return to Italy, I can't really stay more than 3 or 4 or 5 years in the same place, because then a new adventure waits for me. And I know that I need that feeling also of a job changing, new continents, new countries. That's very enriching for me. And so that's where my choice came from, actually, to follow the path of my parents and try and work at the Minister of Foreign Affairs to be able to live in the entire world.
What are some of the countries that you've lived and worked in?
So my first posting was India, New Delhi. Then I moved to Luxembourg in the heart of Europe. And my third posting after, being in Rome at the headquarters, in between, I was posted in Tunisia. So very different places. All of them gave me a lot. I must say, India is a country full of culture, of millenary traditions. There are many substrata. It's people are very strong. They're very good negotiators. They're very smart. And they have a philosophy completely different from ours. And then Luxembourg is in the heart of Europe, and from there I could really witness a lot all that was happening in the also European institutions of the European Union. And Tunis, well, being in Tunis is like being in southern Italy. It's a country very close to Italy with a very Mediterranean vocation. It's almost all like Italy on the seaside, and so their culture is very much similar to the European culture, besides them having Islamic religion, but they're very European in thought, but at the same time also it's an African country and they're Muslim. So it's a very interesting mix. We were very well. We were really was a posting, a very interesting posting, although, I dealt with completely different things that I do now. But the proximity with Italy was quite amazing.
How do you assimilate in such a way? I mean, from India to Luxembourg to Tunisia to here in the US, they're so different, as you said. How is the job similar, right? Whether you're here or there, but then how is it different dealing with different cultures like that?
Well, when it's strange because having been doing this my whole life, I mean, this kind of changing all the time, it's like from a job-wise perspective, we know we have like a deadline,
right.
You have in your fridge, you have to eat it before it's way.
Right.
Deadline. I know that all I have to do is in 4 years. So the first years is like you adapt, you meet people, you have a network, and then you can do things. And in LA, the amazing thing is that whatever the creativity that everybody has, we can also enjoy it, because every project we led as a consulate from a promotional point of view, to whatever I ask interlocutors that do that, they say yes, and we do it. Like this run, it's an amazing thing. It's very hard to organize, but they were also enthusiastic. So that's but I know that I will have to leave in 1 year, and that's it. So whatever I can do is in that period of time, and then that's how it goes. From a personal point of view, it's like I always missed Italy a lot. I went back to Italy, but then I chose to leave Italy again. So it's paradoxically, but what renders what this kind of life does to people is to render people very adaptable, meaning that you already enter into the fact that your home is where you live. I was Angelina the very first day I landed in the city. It was my city. I'm from here. When people ask me where's home, home is Los Angeles. It will be Los Angeles until the very last day. Also because in Italy, I don't really have roots anymore. I mean, we go back to Rome because Rome is our quarters, but I was born in Milan, where I only lived for college. So I'm Italian, I feel from Italy, but home is the place where I serve now. For me, home is Los Angeles. And it was Tunis when I was in Tunis, and it was New Delhi when I was in New Delhi. And that's very important for us to be able to, adapt fast and not being with our heads elsewhere. And also understanding the mentality, the way the city works, the way people think, that's very important for us to be adaptable and to rapidly adapt, and to also find whatever a place can offer. That's why I love every place I've been to. I've loved it. I must say, every place is unique and every place is worth living it for some years.
Now that's beautiful. It's a little like being a reporter, because early on in my career, I was everywhere. I hardly even, was able to put any roots down at all. I pretty much lived out of a suitcase, and I loved all of it because you got to learn so much about the people wherever you were. So I actually really do understand that. So the job of a general, consul general, right, is basically business, economics, and cultural relations between the US and Italy. Can you describe briefly what it is that you do to promote all that? Because I've seen you at many occasions at this point now, right? And you are always there supporting Italian, like we were just at the Cultural Institute. You're so many places supporting all things Italian here in LA. Can you describe for people what that's like?
Well, our core business, in fact, is to support Italians, help Italians, and offer services to Italian nationals. That's
Right.
what consulates in the world were originally born for. But now that our emigration and our Italians are less than in the past, I mean, tens of years
Right.
ago, and the consulates all over the world have an increasing role of promotion. So we promote all our economy, we promote our language, we promote our culture. And I must say that in Los Angeles is super, super easy job to do because everything Italian is loved. Everything is so much appreciated. Our lifestyle, our design, our food. What we're trying to do is to push on the love that Angelinos and other, Southern Californians and in the West Coast in general, love that these people have for Italy, to also project an image of a modern country, an innovative country. Because sometimes, people think that Italy is just pasta and
Right.
pizza, and the food and the design is well renowned, but we have a very high capacity of innovating as well, and we're present in sectors that very important sectors. There's a lot of Italian scientists collaborating in the US. There are a lot of Italian academic research. Italy is really the first in a lot of sectors, and we're trying to help people understand also that that our lifestyle is a whole thing, and that we are a modern country. And we launched campaigns on this to really for people to understand that Italy is modern and innovative. For what we're doing towards Italy is also to make Italy understand that Los Angeles is not only entertainment, that it is much more, because many people, since it's very, very distant, tend to think that, okay, Los Angeles is Hollywood, San Francisco is innovation, New York is fashion and food, and Miami is art. They categorize a little. Boston is universities, but we try to make people understand that Los Angeles is actually much more, that Los Angeles has a very strong sector of finance, that they always have in all these aerospace is very strong, space technologies, that, so that people understand all the opportunities that are here, also for very innovative companies, Italian startups that need to know that they come here because the same ecosystem of innovation that we have in Northern California, well, that is unique, the Silicon Valley, but it's increasingly here as well. We have a Silicon Beach. There's a lot for startups to build an ecosystem built of, universities, colleges, innovators, startups, investors, venture capital. There's a lot of capital. And this is also where all is coming, because this is the capital of creativity. So that's a message that we convey to Italy to make Italy understand how important is Los Angeles. That's also a thing we do. Plus, of course, we have a cultural institute that works with the consulate, an Italian trade agency that do their part of the job, very important. Like the Cultural Institute promotes culture and language, the Italian language, and together with other actors committed to this. And the Italian trade agency also offer to Italian companies services for companies that want to come here, and they also bring Americans to Italy, because we also want investments to Italy to grow. So, for example, producers, there's been a boom in Italian industry in cinema because everyone wants to shoot in Italy. Films, Netflix is shooting a lot in Italy. They're very busy, and so we also promote the trips of producers, of American producers in Italy to meet with the film commissions, and we do both things, like attracting Italians here and also attracting Angelinos and Southern Californians to Italy.
It's interesting because you brought up the other cities in the US where we have little Italies and a large concentration of Italians. But what's interesting here in Los Angeles is our climate is so similar. in particular to southern Italy, right, and central Italy, that Mediterranean climate. And I've spoken to so many business people who are Italian, who have olive oil companies and etc., who are here and also over there who are selling here in the United States. Do you help Italian businesses come here? Is that something that they would contact you if they want to try and do business here? Is it easier? Do you open doors for them easier than if they did it themselves?
You know what? It's for Italians. Italians have less. We have a net of small and medium enterprises. We also have big ones like Enel that I already mentioned. They're very big, but we also a very high percentage of small and medium enterprises for which the distance is an obstacle. So they would ask us how to do it. And we also promote, internationalization of our firms because exports are doing very well. So people are interested in this market. This market is, but the potential is higher. For example, our design is very appreciated here.
Yeah.
There's more demand than offer because everybody want to, with all those real estate development that we have in Los Angeles, there are many developers that want just Italian design in their houses they build even before they sell it. So designers, we offer them, we offer them with the Italian trade agency webinars and events to show them how they can come here and how they can be in touch with the local market to sell their products. And we do that for experts, but also for investments, for startups. As I was mentioning, we, with the Italian Trade Agency, have a program, a world program for startuppers to come here and live in this ecosystem with local accelerators to then be able to, enjoy what the market here can offer to startups, which is quite unique together with the Silicon Valley. So yes, that's an integral part of our job.
You mentioned LA and the entertainment scene, and we spoke briefly that you were an actor, an actress early on in your life, and you love the theater. So I want to talk a little bit about you, Sylvia. That's a real passion of yours, isn't it?
Yes, actually, I always loved the acting, and I've been part both in Rome and in Tunis of theatrical companies of non-professional people. But in Los Angeles, it's I think the only place I couldn't do it because it's too professional, and all the schools require so much of a commitment because people come here to do it as a job. So I couldn't really find. Like what I did in Rome was like 2 evenings every week. I would go to our acting classes with professionals and then also non-professionals, and then we would build up a theater piece to showcase in a theater for like 3 evenings, 4 evenings, not an entire season, kind of thing. And that was the same in Rome and in Tunis. In Tunis, I was part of the only company that would perform in French. And so it was quite a big theater, although I was not a professional. I love it. It taught me a lot. Theater really was a great school for overcoming some of the shyness or the capacity to speak, to not be shy in public. But it's also a great job on ourselves, I think, to be acting. But in LA, I still didn't find the opportunity to do it because it's all too big for me.
I don't know, Sylvia, we've got to make some calls, right? Because before we let you go back to Italy, we've got to try and make something happen. A walk-on part, just something. I mean, you're so lovely. We should be able to figure something out. We're going to put out a call, right? Don't you think that would be a lot of fun? That'd be so much fun.
If I leave, or if I can win an Oscar, I can come back after.
Why not? Why not? Talk about a little bit about your life. You're a mom of 2 little ones, 2 twins, and they are adorable. I'd love to talk a little bit about your family life, how you met your husband, because you're a woman of many interests. You don't just have 1, 2, or 3. You're all over it. Wait till our audience hears how you met. Would you tell us?
Yes, of course. Now I will start from the present. My husband, I work a lot, and my husband doesn't. He works as a dad. He takes care full time of our twins that are not even 4 years old. We're old parents. And he came here and quit his job that has been his job for 30 years to follow me and to work as a dad. But his job was that of having a paragliding school back in Rome. And I met him because I enrolled in his school back in 2003, because paragliding had always been my dream, free flight in silence. I had
Wow.
always seen those people flying everywhere in the world and said, I want to do it. I want to do it. But it's a sport for adults, not for kids. So I eventually started when I was 28 years old, and I eventually married my teacher. So
I love that.
funny
Oh my
thing,
gosh.
got a license to carry people with my paragliding, and I also helped them
Wow.
with alums in the school on weekends. I would, keep a radio in the hand and guide people in the air that were doing paragliding, because I had the license to do that as well. So
Wow. Do
that's
you still do that? Do you still do it here?
well, yeah, we went to La
Wow.
Jolla and San Diego, and also in close to Monterey, to fly on dunes. We don't have much time with the twins to do that anymore, and there's also, the license that had to be converted, and insurance issues. It's kind of more complicated for us to do it here, but yes, that's our great passion. I mean, it was my husband's job, but also born like a great passion, and of course, a great passion for me as well.
Wow, that's very exciting to hear that. I have a terrible fear of heights. I don't think I'd be able to do that at all. So I admire the fact that you do that. Well, it must feel so free when you're up there, doesn't it?
Yes, it's the powerful thing is that it's also very sustainable. Talking about sustainability of a run, paragliding is very sustainable. No engine, no smell, no noise, only your wing and a few wires, and you're sitting there with all open air around, sitting
Wow.
like a sofa with open air around, and the silence. And that's very much what I love of this activity. It's very slow. It's not like parachuting. It's not adrenaline, It's very slow. You just take off from a slope and go like 30 kilometers per hour. That's the strength. You feel like
Wow.
you're not even moving in the air. It's very smooth. It's very quiet. Also, landing is very smooth. It's really a great feeling. If you ever come to Italy and decide to do it, I can carry you, Deborah. What do you
Honey,
say?
Sylvia, you would have to, because I would be so terrified. You might just like send me back. Really, you have no idea. My fear of heights is pretty massive, but I don't know. I would try it. I've pretty much tried almost anything. So paragliding, I know that you went RVing with your family. I mean, you're a very active person, which I love, right? You came out here and during the pandemic, you just like got in an RV and took off, correct?
Yes, that was one of the most beautiful trips in my entire life. Well,
Yeah.
being so far away from Italy, when I have a long holiday, like 3 weeks or 1 month, I am supposed to go back, or else my parents will kind of, cut every relation with me if they don't see the kids at the year. But in 2020, we really wouldn't take a plane for anything. We really wouldn't take the risk. We were very careful during the pandemic. We wouldn't want to take a plane and go back to Italy. My parents would not come here and take a plane and take the risk to take a plane. So, but I needed holidays, because that was really spring 2020 was quite tough. Also because, the pandemic hit Italy first. No one ever now remembers, but I remember when Italy closed. It was very, very ugly for us to, be so far.
Terrifying.
And
Yeah.
all the work that we worked 24 hours a day to help nationals in both ways, all the consulates in the US. It was kind of a nightmare. But then, so I needed holidays, just to say. And so we decided, what are we doing? We don't want to take a plane. We don't want to go in hotels, because, hotels were closed. The pools are closed. Restaurants are closed. What do? RV. This is the country of RVs on the road. And so we rent this RV and went up until Oregon. We went to Sequoia, Yosemite, and then we went to Lake Tahoe, and then up to Lassen Volcano, up to Prater Lake. And then we went back on the other side on the Pacific Highway down to Los Angeles. It was one of the sense of freedom that we had, like leaving a place without knowing what the next place would have been. I mean, without knowing it, because we hadn't visited it as yet, gives a sense of freedom, amazing. And also, we were at the beginning kind of scared about, the kids were 2 years old, 2 years
Right.
old. So we said, okay, we can't drive all the time. We have to take it easy for them. But at the beginning, the first day, we said, "Oh no!" The kids were hysterical, and we said, "No, that was not a good idea." But by the second day, they understood that when we arrived in a place so wild places, they could just be free to hang around and look at the nature and have this feeling of the nature and no worries about cars or anything dangerous, but maybe a bear that could show up. It was really powerful. They enjoyed it so much. They were so happy. And still now, after almost 2 years, when they see RVs, they say, camper, camper, camper. They want to go. They loved it. It was really one of the most amazing experience that we have. And of course, the nature all around that we saw was simply extraordinary. Everywhere is beautiful.
I'll give you a fun one to go on. My husband and I did this, I don't know, last year, the year before, through Utah and then up into Wyoming and make your way up to Yellowstone. That's a great trip. That if you're thinking of RVing again, that's a really terrific one. You don't want to miss that. There's a little travel tip for you from me. So
yeah, we'll try to have another one before leaving the country. And also service is very, very, very good quality. The streets are big. I drove the RV all the time because, we had said, okay, we drive half and half, but I like driving the RV so much because I have a big Defender, the Land Rover, the real Jeep Land Rover 4x4 in the past. And so I wanted to drive the RV all the time, and I drove it all the time. It was really, really nice.
That's kind of a fun feeling. I've done that myself. I loved it. I mean, I understand how people could just live like that all the time. It's actually something I'd love to do and take like a few months and go across the country and zigzag. What a fun thing to do. You did mention the pandemic, and that must have been a little scary for you because you had just started here, right? The pandemic is happening over there, and the death toll was tremendous initially in Italy. What a difficult time for you that must have been, right?
Yeah, it was quite tough, but I think it was not for everybody, only for us.
Yeah,
the difference us and the rest of the people was that for a short but very intense period of time, which went from the first days of March to, let's say, April, Italy was the only country hit by COVID, right? So the feeling of uncertainty that surrounded the whole thing, and seeing my country that would, didn't find a solution. First they closed Lombardy, then they closed Italy, 8th, 9th of March. I remember crying all day that day. It was absolutely the feeling of not being able to do anything for my country, not being able to say, okay, I'll go back. What will I do if I go back? That was shared by all our colleagues abroad, Italians, the feeling of really sadness of what was happening. And you could see it also, people in Italy that sang national anthems out of the windows when lockdown started. It was very much a feeling of unity. Here, the pandemic gave me an impression of, we have many Italian communities because the city is so big. It's not only one. We have one in San Diego, we have one downtown, we have one in West LA, we have one in the Valley. We have a lot of them, and they're very separated. Angelinos, Italians in Los Angeles don't move much from neighborhood to the other. But for the pandemic, I felt a strong sense of unity, even around the country. A lot of people sending us their gratitude and their feeling of closeness. What can we do? Doctors that proposed to go to Italy to help. Everybody was wanting to help. Friends that wanted to donate masks. There was a strong sense of, which is, and that is not over yet, hopefully.
It's spiking, and then we're all trying to figure it out. How do we get back? How do we continue to travel? How do Italians come here? How do we continue to go there? We're planning to go there this summer, and a lot of people have said, "Geez, it's spiking." I said, "But we also have to continue to live. We have to figure this out, right?" Let me ask you a little bit about your position as a woman. I told you, I think you're incredibly inspiring. And all the women who look at the position that you hold, it's an international position, and especially all the young women and young girls who look at your position. Could you tell me what that feels like I consider it an honor and a responsibility and time for all of us women out this day. What you did for that.
Well, I think that thank you for your words. I really much appreciate that because the cause of women is particularly dear to me. Maybe because for generic sense of justice, where I see that still we have to really move forward. Even in the Western world, if you see the differences in salaries, the difference in important postings, the differences in the high level postings in government and in business from women to men, even in the in our world, in the Western world, is quite astonishing. We wouldn't expect it if we didn't see the data. And also, what the pandemic has taught us, still talking about the pandemic, is that the burden of crisis is not gender neutral, because the crisis always hit women more. And it was amazing to see during the pandemic how women still had all the burdens on their shoulders more than men. The burden of keeping children that could not go at school, the burden of taking care of the entire family, and still the burden of having to work for supporting their family. And these burdens are all what impair empowerment of women. And that's very important for me, also seeing it in my field. In my field, it's very much male dominated. And actually it's more difficult to do my job for women than for men, because it's a difficult life, because it's less easy to find a husband that will stop his job and follow, because we still feel on our shoulders the burden of taking care of the family, and that's something our fault to feel it too much and not asking for help. So what I think can be done, and it's what I've learned from my examples, like older colleagues than I, that lead by example, and that really take this battle forward. Like our new ambassador. I say new, but she's been there since July, so not so new anymore. But our ambassador in Washington D.C., Mariangela Zappia, is a woman, and she's also one of the gender parity champions of our network. She's really doing a lot for
tremendous
of women, and for engaging with women and doing events only that have a gender balance, and also helping other colleagues. So I think it is important that we support each other. And what I try to do is precisely be supportive to other women, trying to involve more than men in initiatives, do things.
Right, and I love how on International Women's Day, how you honored some women in our community. I thought that was tremendous. I mean, you really do put a spotlight on women doing exceptional work. And for that, I thank you. I really do. I think that's terrific.
Yes, thank you. No, thank you. I know you've participated. You've seen our project talking about One of Us. One of Us was a big project. And it was a project of women for women, because it was an idea born in 2021 in Los Angeles with my friend Chiara Tilesi, the director and the producer, who said, why don't we wanted to do something for International Women's Day. Something in presence was still not possible. So we said, why don't we use the video documentary tool that is so appreciated here, especially and in these times. So we had the idea to present a documentary on Italian women active in different sectors, science, technology, acting, business, and also to showcase the female face of immigration, which is what
fantastic.
We did it in 2021. We did it in 2022, and in 2022 there was also our embassy in Washington D.C. that did it. So One of Us West Coast was there, but also One of Us East Coast, and one of the protagonists of One of Us East Coast was precisely our ambassador in Washington D.C., Mariangela Zappia, who has an amazing story of leadership. So that's a project that is very dear to us. This year there was another woman producer, Deborah Guetta. So it was really a job done. Also, the composer of original music is a woman. So it's been a work of women for other women to highlight all the women. a narrative of women that are not to be seen only as victims or as objects, but as subjects. So that's
Right.
the purpose of our project.
Yeah, as subjects doing what is in our heart and what we enjoy doing. So that was terrific. I really enjoyed that evening. Before I let you go, I have a couple quick questions. I have to talk about your baking. I know that you're quite the baker. You enjoy that, and would you tell us a little bit about that briefly?
Yes, well, of course, during the pandemic, I have many hobbies, but during the pandemic, it was also we had more time because being at home all the time, not having commitment outside. So I've always liked baking, but I started, not only making bread every day, but also making, panettone, colomba, pandoro, which are a headache to make, really, with mother yeast. And surprisingly enough, I found out that surprisingly enough, because it's a coincidence, but the big tradition in using sourdough yeast for sourdough bread is in Italy, that still do it, and in California, because the very sourdough yeast that we also use was born in San Francisco. So Southern California and California have a great tradition of baking, and in Italy as well. So this is another thing that unites both countries. I love it. It's very rewarding for me. Sometimes I make cookies in half an hour, a cake in half an hour. This morning, my kids woke up kind of earlier than usual, like 6:45, and I had promised to make cookie yesterday, and then we didn't have time to do it. So my little one, Elettra, asked me, "So what about the cookies, Mama?" I said, "Okay, let's go down and make the cookies." So I have a lot of tools, Thermomix, which is not very used here, but much in Italy. We did the dough, we put it in the oven, and cookies were ready in half an hour.
Oh,
so that's the kind of things I do. And then I prepared for coming to work. They went to school. So also, preparing cookies at 6:30 in the morning. My husband said, these kids will grow up thinking this is normal.
why not? Right? That's what I have to say. Why not? That's wonderful, Sylvia. I also get into that whole bread making thing. It's almost like the whole country got into making bread. Remember then people were posting photos of their bread. I tried to do something different when I did mine, and I put some food coloring in it. And one of my kids came home and he said, "Mom, why are you serving us moldy bread?" Because it was green. And I said, no, it's not moldy. I just put the coloring in it and it looks moldy. I'm so sorry. They wouldn't eat it. So, but it tasted delicious. My husband and I ate it. So that's one of my bread making stories. It shows you a little bit about the way I cook too, Sylvia. So I'll have to come to your place for dinner. Have you been watching Stanley Tucci's show about, what's that? Wait, did I lose you for a second?
Colored bread is very nice. I don't know why you didn't like it. Next time, give it to me. We'll eat it.
I will. We'll break bread together with my bread, with my green bread. But have you been watching Stanley Tucci's program?
That's quite the thing. Yeah, we love it. We love it. I know the series coming out. It's a great. And then it was also shot and seen when people were, locked down, and so it had a great impact. And we really followed it and loved it. All our network. He does a great job, and that's precisely the things that we like. That Americans and Italian Americans go to Italy and give back something of what Italy actually is today, and not necessarily decades ago. To update a little bit the image.
Right. Modern Italians, young Italians, how they're keeping up the traditions.
And
before I
think about Italian innovation, is that Italian innovation is based on tradition. So our strength is our tradition and our innovation. Our capacity to innovate is all based on our traditions. That's very important. And that's what people like Stanley Tucci can highlight with their projects.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience before I let you go? And you've been very generous with your time. And I want to make sure to mention the 5K again before we sign off. But tell us anything you'd like to tell our audience.
Well, I love you. I love you. I love this place. This is really a posting that has given me a lot, much more than I could give the posting, because really everything is possible. People are so supportive. Every project comes to life. Everybody wants to help. And it's also heartwarming to see how
Yeah.
much support we have from all over, and how many things we can do and how many possibilities there are here. We have collaborations with the new museum of the academy, which there's
Oh,
already
yeah.
relations with them because they have an agreement with Cinecittà, our cinema national company, to showcase our screenings there. They love Italian cinema, and we have also collaborations with the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and with Caltech, and with all universities. It's really a strong bond that Italy has to this connection to this country. Also, thanks to Italian American and to Italian that do a great job here. So thank you for being what you are.
Yeah, and you are much loved here as well. So we so appreciate having you as our consul general. And let's remind people again about our 5K, would you, before I let you go?
Yes, of course. So it's the 5th of June. It's in San Pedro. It's very widely supported. I also wanted to mention a few sponsors that I forgot to mention before, which are Athens Services, Providence Hospital, and Bono Pizzeria. They will offer the pizza to all the registered people. It's a unique run. It's really a unique run, a great fest. I think if you all come, you will enjoy the morning. And I think the ride to San Pedro is worth it. It's Sunday morning, so no traffic, but we will have a lot of fun. I'm sure, I can guarantee it. So please register. And so let's show how powerful the Italian American and Italian communities are in getting together and celebrate our country under our flag.
It's a magnificent area down there by the waterfront. I absolutely love going down there. It also reminds me of where I grew up in New York and New Jersey, right by the port there. So I think it's a terrific place, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. So please, people, come join us. And is there a website that we can give to people where they could sign up?
Yes, the website is www.italyrun.org.
Great.
So
thank you. And please, go ahead.
And I hope I'll see all of you and that we can celebrate the National Day together in the street and looking at the ocean.
Yeah, and eating a little bit of pizza too. So Sylvia Chiave
offers a pizza. Yeah.
Wonderful. Sorry if I'm stepping on top of you. Sometimes with this Zoom, it is a little tricky. So, geez, I'm just so thrilled that you gave us this time. It was wonderful to get to know you. Wonderful to get to know how you met your husband, a little bit about your children, and a little bit about you, about your acting, about your work with women's causes. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I know my audience really loved that. And I know that all of us down at Little Italy, at the Little Italy of Los Angeles Association, so appreciate all the work that you've done. So thank you on behalf of all of them as well. And everybody, please, you can find our podcast at Little Italy Podcast. Also, I simulcast it on my other channel, Deborah Cobalt Live. And then this is also going to be on our Little Italy of Los Angeles pages. It will be on the consul's pages, right? You're going to put it on the pages there as well?
Yes, of course.
Because
share it on all our pages, institutional pages and personal pages. Thank you so much for having me. It's really important that we connect so much. The relation with Little Italy in LA, we strongly support Little Italy in LA because it's a modern Little Italy. It's one of the newest Little Italies in the country. It's brand new. So it's always going back to what we're saying, tradition and innovation, keeping up, keeping all of of what's Italian that is there, like Italian traditions are there, but also with the hints to the future and to what's new. So we love the collaboration with Little Italy. Thank you so much for having us. We do support Little Italy in Los Angeles and all you do because it's very important for us.
Thank you again. And everybody, please, you can also see our show. It'll be on Facebook, YouTube, and also on IGTV. We then post it as an audio show as well. So you could listen to the podcast, watch the podcast, Watch it on all different channels. So we just appreciate y'all being here. Come on the 5th at the 5K. I'll be there. Sylvia will be there. We're going to have a fun crowd, lots of food, prizes, win a trip to Rome. How could you go wrong? Thank you, everybody, for being here, and we will see you next time. My name is Deborah Zara Cobelt. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.